Hey everyone, all the amazing people out there, welcome to interview series. Today we have another one of our great guests like Kristi Maggio from all the way from United States. I'm so grateful to have you over here, Kristi, and all the people who are watching this. It's been amazing doing this interviews. Like you will be able to get great value over here. And if you're watching this live, put hashtag live and replay, and you guys can ask even questions as well. Once again, welcoming you, Kristi. It's a great honor to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. So, yay.
That's amazing. And Kristi, like you can tell about like your story, backstory, how you gone about, and just for the people to know who is Kristi, like she has interviewed like amazing, great personalities, billionaires like Naveen Jain, another. The list goes on and on and on, right? And I'm so grateful to my mentor Naveen Jain because of them. I'm able to meet Kristi. Yeah, Kristi, like we want to know about your story. I'm so excited to know.
Sure, absolutely. So, I have been in the education space for over 20 years, and I work a lot with youth. In the most recent years, I work with teenagers and mentoring. And I just find it really important right now, and that's my mission at the moment, to help young people find their true potential and live up to that potential. Because a lot of times for young people, depending on their current situation, they might not really truly believe that they can achieve anything in this world. And that is something that's really important and near and dear to my heart. I'm originally from a small town in the United States called Rome, New York. I graduated from a college here locally called Nazareth College, and in Italian and economics. But then my heart has always been in education, so I then got my master's degree from the University of Virginia and taught there, taught at Syracuse University, taught at Ohio State for a while. And so I've always been in education. And languages, my degree to teach was originally in Italian. And so then to make a long story short, my desire to also learn Spanish, because I wanted to go to more inner city schools here in the United States and help more youth in the inner city area and the Hispanic population, I decided I'm going to go to the Dominican Republic for a year, and I am going to perfect my Spanish and then come back and find an inner city job helping young people. Well, the 1 year turned into 8. And so 8 years went by, and I opened up my own school in the Dominican Republic. And so, however, it didn't just happen overnight. I was 3 years there before I actually opened the school, and my family and a lot of people just telling me, you're crazy. What are you doing? Like, this is the most irresponsible thing for you to do. You could be back in the United States making $100,000 and as an administrator or whatever it was. But I knew that that's where my heart was. And that's ultimately the very first time that I really understood what I could potentially do in this life. And I actually, for the first time, listened to myself instead of other people. Right. And so with that being said, in 2016, I opened a school there with only 7 children, and it grew to 85 children before COVID hit. When COVID hit, I had to close the physical school, but I kept things going on virtually and had students. And so a lot of times people say, oh my gosh, why did this happen to me? And I did. I lost everything, right? And so in that sense, when you think about Naveen, when you think about Richard Branson, when you think about a lot of famous people, successful people, Walt Disney, they lost their everything once, more than once. I don't know if Naveen did or not, but he came from, a really difficult and a poverty beginning. So when you think about it, a lot of times people stop in the middle of their dream because they are faced with a challenge or they lose everything and they allow it to defeat them. For me, I like to look at a challenge as a gift because it means that I'm able to learn something that I didn't necessarily know that I needed to learn. So when we talk about these things and we talk about as we continue this conversation, right now in my life, and having just published my first book, all of that came out of losing everything. Because had I not, been faced with the challenge of what I was in the Dominican Republic, I wouldn't have shifted and met all of the people that I have today, and that includes, Naveen and Evan and a lot of other people that I have in this past year had the fortune to be able to interview and get to know. And so yeah, when we're faced with a challenge, we have to look at what opportunity can we find from that challenge. So yeah.
That's amazing. That's incredible, right? And what vision like you have, and how did you position yourself, or like what was the idea which you got in order for you to become a teen mentor, right? How did you get that idea to get started as a teen mentor?
Mm-hmm. So originally, I had worked with a few teenagers. Well, okay, let's see. When I was before I went to the Dominican Republic, I was teaching in middle school. And I loved working with the kids that were what people labeled as the most troubled, or the troublemakers, right? And I didn't see them as that. I saw them as children who got dealt a difficult hand in life, who needed to be heard and needed to be understood. A lot of young people are dealing with a lot of different things that we don't see on the surface. And so a lot of times they act out in a negative way, because they're looking for attention and they don't know how to help themselves. So they feel if they can get some sort of attention, it's better than no attention, right? So in looking at that and really discovering that these kids are misunderstood, it made me want to work with them even more. And as I was going through my self-discovery in a late 30s, early 40s, right? And next week I'm going to be 44 years old. And so as I'm learning this in my later years, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I wish I knew this when I was younger. Now, I was obviously not meant to learn this earlier, and that was my journey. But imagine how many young people we can help by changing the conversation with them, helping them realize their purpose and potential at an earlier age, and tuning in to the self-talk that doesn't bring in doubt and shame, but that says, you know what, I can instead of I can't. And so that's really what I'm on a mission to do as a mentor. And then on the other side, I'm on a mission to bring, quality educational programs to young people around the world who don't have access, and find that access in a way that they would be able to afford it. Because there's a lot of access out there for online schools. That doesn't mean that all young people, in every country can afford to access that. And that's what I'm working towards.
Absolutely. It's all about like we must have a great vision with us, and that's how like we go about. And Kristi, share us like your experience. Like you had interviewed Naveen Jain. How was like your experience? Everyone is so curious.
Yeah. So, this is the one thing that I learned from him after I talk to him, and he's funny because he teases me on it sometimes, and I've never met him in person, but he's such a kindred spirit and he's so kind. But
He's very down to earth person.
Yeah,
Right.
yes. And so he said to me once, and I reached out to him, right? And that's all I did. And it's interesting because he says, we today, young people today, have it so much easier, because when he was growing up and he was looking for that break, he couldn't just go on his computer and say, hey, can I interview you? Can I Zoom? Can we FaceTime? Can I email? None of that. If he wanted to meet someone or get mentored by someone, he either need to A, find their phone number and try and call them, which there's no internet at that time, so it's difficult to find that phone number, or B, physically go there. So when a lot of times people are saying, oh my gosh, it's just so difficult to get in, it's easier than it's ever been, because we have the technology to do that. So for me, it was just literally reaching out to him, telling him what I am doing to help young people, and it resonated with him. It was something that he likes to help especially young people. And so when he did that, I called him, say, let's talk. I want to learn more about you. And here he is. I'm thinking I'm going to ask him questions about himself, and he's asking about me. Like, wow. So 30 minutes go by, and he had another call, and he's like, okay, well, we have to talk again. So call back again. But one thing that I remind myself of, I use as a teaching moment to whomever, is he said to me, how can I help you? And at that moment, my mind went blank. I froze. How can he help me? Like, I just wanted to get an interview. I wanted to learn more about him, because I think his idea, the way he thinks, is so incredible. But then I'm like, well, maybe there's another way he can help me. Maybe, I'm working on setting up this school. I'm working on doing this talk show for teens. And then my mind is racing at the same time, but I didn't know what to say, So always be prepared for that question, other than this interview. And I'm not talking monetary, because obviously any person like that, and you start talking about money, they don't want to hear that, because they don't know you. Who's going to go and just hand out money to you? Nobody. Would you do that to something? I mean, people have to think about it. Would you go out and just, if someone came to you and said, hey, I have this really great idea, but I need money for it. You don't know that person. Are you going to randomly hand money over to them? No. So I think a lot of times people get misconstrued about the idea that there's so much more there than money. And I've learned that. And so he interviewed a student that I knew. She wasn't my student, but someone that I was introduced to, was really into gut biology. And so I was trying to work up the idea for a talk show for teens, right? And so I was doing some pilot episodes on Zoom. And so I'm like, she loves gut biology. Nadine has bio. Wouldn't that be a great, interview? So I was trying to pair teens with a person that they admired or wanted to be like, or in that profession, right? And so I paired them up, and they had this beautiful interview. She was great. He was great. Half the time I didn't know what they're talking about, because they're talking about all this gut biology stuff and everything. And so little by little that happened. Time went on, but it's about the relationship, right? And so then I decided to do a virtual education summit. I asked him if he would be on, because I knew if he said yes, I would have I knew it would be a trickle down effect. If I said Nadine was on there, other people would. So he's helped me in more ways than he really knows. And so then I wanted to do an article on raising entrepreneurs. And so I was editing for a magazine called Entrepreneur Success, and I said, what a great I had this idea. I'm like, what a great idea. Raising entrepreneurs. His kids are amazing. So I was fortunate enough to interview him and his wife Anu and the 3 kids.
Yes,
So
I'm also I saw that video. It was like so amazing on your Instagram. Like you had interviewed Anu Jain, Priyanka Jain, and their 2
mhm,
sons, and one of the son is already disrupting the real estate, like the credit
yeah,
card, some industry,
uh-huh,
right? And
yeah.
it was so lovely. And what was the common pattern have you seen, like when it comes down to billionaires parenting, and what are the values and the principles they are sharing? Like what is the common pattern have you seen in every
Okay.
one of them?
So for the common pattern that I've seen in wealthier people who who have children who are also working to be entrepreneurs, because it's not all wealthy people have children that are working to do that, right? What I have noticed for those, the common factor for those that do have children that want to make a difference is that the parent has involved the children in every aspect of their life, right? So Ankur, who was the oldest at the time, and when Naveen first decided that he was going to start his own company, he was there at the office. He was there around it all the time. He was going to business meetings. He was going to dinner meetings, and most parents are like, I'm not going to bring my child to a dinner meeting. Oh, no, 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 no. He's like, oh, you don't want to have dinner with me and my son? I brought my child. He would say, well, guess what? Then he and I will eat over here, and you guys can talk about your business over here. But it's the mindset, and anybody that listens to Naveen talk will hear him say, I will always be proud of my children. However, I will love them unconditionally, but they need to be working towards doing something to help others. Right? They all started a nonprofit as teenagers. They all worked towards creating something to help others. I mean, even Anu told me, and Priyanka was saying how, every year for their birthdays, they would make a meal and they would go and serve it to the shelter or homeless people. They would always, on their birthdays, they would always do an act of humanitarianism. And I thought that was so amazing. I wish more parents would do that. I really do. Because whether it's time, whether it's, it's more about giving back, is more about money and just giving money, because it's getting involved in showing young people how they can get involved too, right? And how they can help others. And even in my school in the Dominican Republic, we would do collections of food and clothing and things like that. But I would bring the kids with me, right? Because the kids who were there in my school, they weren't affluent, but they were better off than most, right? And so I would bring them with me so that they could see who they were helping. A lot of times, we take kids and we say, oh, we're going to do a collection for Christmas, or we're going to buy this for some. They don't see the other side. And I think the more you involve the children in your work, in what you do, and having them understand that, if you have a beautiful home, or they're fortunate enough to have most of the things that they want to have, it's because your mom and dad work for it, and they want them to see that they worked for it. And I think another thing too was that Naveen had mentioned, and Anu also, is that if they wanted something, the parents they did not automatically just give it to them. They had to figure out a way to do it. And Ankur wrote, there was an article about him in, I think it was Inc. magazine, I can't remember, or maybe it was Success magazine, about how at like the age of, I think he was 10 or 8, he figured out a way to get this shoe, I think it was a shoe, sneaker, that said that it would help him jump higher, and he wanted to be on the basketball team, but it was like extremely expensive. And his parents were like, we're not buying that for you. And so he figured out a way to get the owner of the company to send him a pair of these shoes so that he could be a better basketball player. Like, it's an amazing story. So if you look up that, it was either Inc. or Success, but that's the thing. So it was that curiosity for him. And then other parents too that I have met, they've always allowed their kids to be curious. They would always question them. They would always show them a higher purpose, affirmations, things like that. And I can name a bunch of families that I know, and that is the key goal the key trait of these parents who raise these kids to want to help others and be successful, is that they incorporate them and they're honest and talk to their kids. They communicate with them, and they're all curious, and they show them you can do anything. Your potential is anywhere. Everything is possible. So that's really what I see the difference, where it comes from. Absolutely.
Yes, that was amazing. It's all about like having a good upbringing. It's all about like encouraging the children, like you can do it. Like only then they will be able to do it. That's amazing. And Kristi, and the next question which I want to ask you is, like you have helped like so many hundreds or thousands of people in your school and like in your foundation. Now, when it comes down to education, like educating the kids, like what are the principles and values you think almost every parent and like every teacher has to teach to the children, right? What are the most important values and principles you think?
I think that the most important is that they need to have all kids need some sort of mentoring program, and some sort of program that includes success and how to create it. I think that there is a line between like elementary school, like when we're kids, we often tell children that you can do anything, you can be anything, there's no limit. And then it's like middle school, high school comes around, and all of a sudden they're being told you need to be realistic. That's crazy. Like, you can't do that. You don't have the grades, you don't have this, And so I believe that number one, there has to be a class in school on success and how it looks differently for everybody. But there's the key components that all successful people have in order to create their success, first of all. Second is that how I learn, how you learn, how somebody else does it is completely different, yet we still try and keep kids in a box. It has to be done this way. And so when we talk about these types of things, I don't see enough storytelling in school. And that might sound crazy because in high school, like where are you going to come with storytelling? But storytelling in the sense of what we see today as success, what we see as Naveen, what we see as Evan Carmichael, what we see as other successful people, whether they're public figures or not, was years and years of work being done behind the scenes that nobody saw. And so I think telling the story of the journey and how people got to where they are is so important for young people, because they see, especially today with social media, oh wow, look at the car, look at the money, look at this, he must be lucky. There's no luck about it, because any of those people that are successful today, it's called sacrifice. It's called, love for what they're doing. It's called helping others. It's perseverance, even in the lows of the lows. It's taking action. So I believe that when we have young people in school, we teach them about entrepreneurship. We teach them about success and the stories behind it, the journey that everyone has had. Because I truly believe if we talk to young people, and tell them the journey that people had, they would be like, wait a minute, they started at nothing and now they're here, and this is what they did, and they had the highs and the lows and the high, what Naveen calls the heartbeat, that it tells you that you're alive, the ups and the downs. But when we tell them that, they're going to be like, well, I can do that too. So it's okay to fail. Well, it's not failure, right? It's okay.
Absolutely.
And that's the other thing that one of the things that he and Anu both told their children: it's okay if you make mistakes. It's okay if you err. It's okay if you fail and you have to start over again. You're going to learn from them. Those are learning moments. It's not failure. It's those moments for you to learn to say, oh, okay, now I know why that didn't work out. Now I know not to do that again, as opposed to saying, it's over with, done with, just quote unquote, kick it to the curb, right? So I think if we teach children that, they're going to feel like they can really do so much more than what society tells them they can do.
Absolutely. Sharing them like success does not have a finish line. It's all about you have ups and downs. Like you must have a clear goal, and like you have to go there like step by step, like you'll be able to reach.
Right.
And
absolutely. And it's not about wishing, because we talk about the vision. Like I had that vision, you have your vision, but it's taking action upon that vision, because I can sit here and say, oh wow, that looks great, but what am I going to do to get there? And I think a lot of times people see the big picture, but then they think that they need to know how. You don't need to know how. You just need to know what small thing can you do today to get you one step closer to that big picture, right?
Optimizing 1% better every single day, right? Becoming better. That's amazing. And Kristi, if I have to ask you, like you have also interviewed like Ivan, right? Like the top 10 rules. And he has almost like the early Napoleon Hill, like how he interviewed like so many successful people in the olden days, like how Tony Robbins interviewed 50 billionaires in the world. Like Ivan is the guy who has interviewed and who has put all the interviews in a very simple way, right? What was your top learnings after you interviewing Ivan?
Evan, see now, Evan, I am in Evan's group called Movement Makers, and it's the best and most amazing group in the world. And we meet with Evan twice a month, and he's right there in front of us, like I'm here in front of you. And the great part about working with Evan is like he knows you, he gets to know you, and he wants to know your journey. And he's very real, and very humble and very kind. But his word, and I highly recommend his book to anybody. If you're looking for your purpose, if you don't know your why yet, I love, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, but Evan breaks it down to a single word, and his word is belief, right? And his book is called Built to Serve. Okay, but there's a book before that called Your One Word. I didn't read Your One Word. I did read Built to Serve. And with that being said, he goes through and shows you the journey. He started on YouTube in 2012 with 90 followers, I think it was. And then, it wasn't until I think 2006, and this is organic growing, right? It wasn't until 2016, I think, 2017. But he shows you like how many, it did not happen overnight. And this is the thing, like everybody sees these YouTube successes, right? Did not happen for him overnight. So now he works with a lot of people, but what he does is he takes the time to dissect all of these incredible people and dissect their interviews with others, and he puts them all together to give us their greatest wisdom, right? And so it's just amazing. And so what he does is he saves us hours of going through, people's content to bring us the most important pieces of what all these great people have to say. And so, with that being said, I often show my students the one that he does, the things that the most important things for kids, your kids to listen to. And I use his work all the time with my students because it's so inspirational. And so he himself is inspirational.
He's like the encyclopedia, right? Like so much of knowledge, so much of wisdom, right? And what I believe is king is respected only in his kingdom, whereas a knowledge giver, mentor like Kristi, Naveen Jain, and like even like you will be respected throughout the world because
Wow, I don't even
teachers
know that. I don't even
are
know
the
if I can be
people.
put in the same sentence with the two of them. But I think that but this is the thing. I'm working to get there, right? And so
Yes, we all are
right.
going, and one fine day, like we'll be able to reach there.
Mhm.
It's all about journey, right? Like journey is the most
Sure.
important
And
thing.
helping others along the way, A lot of times people get so consumed with what can I do for me?
Hmm.
Well, no, what can you do for somebody else? And ultimately, that brings you and pushes you forward because I don't know if I've experienced any greater joy than knowing that I helped somebody else or giving to someone else. I really don't.
We just have to give first in order for us to get. Like we have to serve. Like give more than you automatically get, right? Like the universe gives us. Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. And if I have to ask you, like right now, like you are helping so many people, like you are impacting so many people around the world, all those things. Now, what is like your goal and dream and vision in next 5 years? Like, what is like your goal, like you have?
So my vision is to help in the next 10 years 1 billion children access education and employment, And why do I say that? Because, we see the sustainable development goals that have been set from the United Nations. And I often wonder, there's so many people out there that help others, right? We give food, we give clothing, but what is a better gift than that? Than allowing young people to have the ability to an education so that they can take care of themselves. And so, but not just that, because now, we can access free courses from Harvard online. We can access, so much content and information from Evan or Naveen or anybody else. But how can those young people have a credential that says, I have the ability to do this and then get a job? Even if they're in the most rural area, find a remote position that they can do so that they can sustain themselves as well. And that's really the road that I am traveling on and the mission that I'm on. And I see it, I feel it, I know that that's what God wants me to do. I have utter faith in this, and I may have gotten knocked down, but the reason for that is because I needed to get on I needed to be rerouted like GPS. Like I knew I was going where I was going to help people, but now I've been given the gift of realizing I can help so many more people than what I originally thought. And so it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
That's great. Yes, it's all like having a vision, right? Like only when we have a bigger vision, like we'll be able to reach there. Like dream big, and that's how like we'll be able to do it.
Right. Dream big, but don't just make it a dream, right? It starts there, but take those small actions. So I can't help 1 billion children today, but I can help a few, right? I don't know how to reach a lot of kids, but I can write a book and hope that
Yes.
book
And
reaches
Kristi, we
those
want to know
kids.
about your book, right? Like, what is that book all about? I just checked like few weeks back, like you were on live with Ivan on his Instagram
Mhm.
handle, right? It was so amazing to see you. Can you tell us about your book and who are all the people who have got featured on the book and what are the
Sure.
main
So I wrote this
takeaways?
book. It's called Follows and Likes. Is this all that I'm worth? And I wrote it to help young people understand success. So each chapter has a lesson, and then after each chapter there is a real life story. So you can see these are some of the people. I don't know if you can see that, but
Yes,
in the
we can
book.
see
And
it.
so Naveen is
I can
here.
see the first person over there, Naveen
Yeah.
Jain.
And so all of these people have just amazing and incredible stories. And I made sure they were from all different backgrounds and all different countries. So anybody can find a story that they could relate to, right? And there's so many of these stories in this world, right? You have a story, I have a story. There's so many stories to tell. But these people came from difficult beginnings, some from child abuse, some from rape, some from immigrants from another country who came and started their life and had escaped. One of them, Paul Kazanovsky, he and his family left communist Macedonia and immigrated into Canada, and little by little I tell his story. Ram Castillo was born in the Philippines at the age of 4. He was sent to, they immigrated to Australia, but he was so brutally bullied as a child that he had his arm broken 3 times, right? So it's so that kids can see that these people are real people today, right? And that they overcame so many things and so many obstacles step by step. But that's the important part. I tell the story so they could see how they did it. And there are those small lessons that are the same in each story to say, okay, if I have a dream, if I take action, if I am open to opportunity and finding people to help me, and if I persevere no matter what, I can do it too, right? And so we talk
They can
about
do it, I can do it. They
right,
got that attitude, right? Like, if
yeah,
what's there, if they can do, they are also a human being. I'm also a human. Yeah.
right. And it's interesting because I wanna read like a quote from the book, and it's from Ram Castillo, and he actually he's from the Philippines, but he said, and I think it's so important when we talk about social media and young people today, he says, remember, the people that we praise in public have spent years and years in private working on their craft to achieve what they have. Don't get lost in the feed. It's a filtered feed. We see the finished product. A person's success is like an iceberg. What you see at the surface, for example, the images on social media, is just a small part of what is actually there. Meaning, what you see today from someone you admire is the product of many other things that you have not seen in order for them to achieve what they have today, right? That's so powerful, so strong. Like, I literally put the quote, and it's the first thing in the book. It's even before the table of contents. That's how important that quote is, because we choose to see what we want to see. And we tell ourselves, well, they must have just been lucky, or, they just came into a fortunate family. But that's not meant for me. And what I'm trying to tell everybody with this book is that it's meant for everybody. Everybody who follows the same pattern, everybody who doesn't give up. It's meant for everybody. Not just me, not just you.
And how many chapters are there in your book, Kristi, and who are the people?
There's 17 chapters. So, and it's, I wrote it.
Each chapter is like how many pages? Like
like 4, 5 pages. Like
it's
the
like
book
short
itself.
and crisp, right? Like people can read it like soon.
Yeah, like it's 132 pages. I wanted it to be something that young people would actually read. Like if I wrote an anthology, they're not going to sit down and read it, And so, it's interesting because Naveen Jain is in it. He's one of the people. Anjanita Prevost, she came from the foster care system and made it to Hollywood and is successful today as a businesswoman, owns her own company. Paul Kazanovsky, he's in real estate. Jen Welter, she was the first female NFL coach in the United States. Ram Castillo, Barbara Majeski, there's so many. Jonte Hall and Herb Lang, they were former Harlem Globetrotters. Maria Trusa and Ana Olivero, they're from the Dominican Republic. Altagracia Pierre Outerbridge, she's from Haiti. Greg Walker, he's amazing. He's a motivational speaker. His story I love as well. It's near and dear to my heart because he was one of 15 children. And when he got to high school, he was number 13. And all 12 of his siblings before him dropped out of school and never made anything of themselves. And so on the first day of high school, the principal said, here's the papers. You're probably not going to make it. So whenever you're ready to drop out, you can. Could you imagine that from an adult saying, I don't expect too much of you. So when you're ready, here's the papers to drop out of school. And then he went on to mentor with Dave Thomas, who is the owner of the hamburger franchise Wendy's. And now he owns his own franchises and is a motivational speaker, wrote his own book. But, these are all stories, incredible story. Lee Duncan, he was a professional boxer in the UK. Oh gosh, there's so many. Rhea Story.
Amazing.
Yeah,
that's a lot of value. And Kristi, for all the people who are watching this live in my group, if they want to order this book, where is that book available? Can you tell us? Is it available?
Yeah, you can order it. You can go to either the website for the foundation, Maggio Multicultural Foundation.org, and there's a link there. You can go to it, or you could just go to Amazon and you can just type in follows and likes. I don't know if you can see it. Follows and likes. Is this all that I'm worth? And you can just type in the title on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. And you can order it through there. There's the ebook, and then there's also the paperback copy of it. And it's something so close to me, close to my heart, that I just want. This was my way of when I said, how can I reach more people sooner, right? And this was my thought. And so I wanted to let you know that a year ago, I had just had this as a picture on my vision board, right? And I was just able to take this picture off my vision board last Saturday because I accomplished it and I did it. And so if you're telling yourself you can't, or thank you, it was blocking out 30 minutes a day, saying, I'm going to write this. It was doing interviews. So I created a podcast from the interviews. So you can hear all of the full interviews with each of these people on my podcast called The Secret to Success Isn't So Secret.
Is it your summit name also is Secret to Success? You also did a summit, right?
Yes, I did a summit. Well, The Secret to Success, there's another podcast called The Secret to Success. My podcast is called The Secret to Success Isn't So Secret. So I put that at the end to differentiate, and it's also a keyword play. But then I did a virtual summit for United by Education, and so that's when I had also all of these people who were on my summit, and I just used their stories, and their stories became part of my book, and I couldn't have been more blessed, and more, and they're so kind. People are so kind.
Super amazing. And Kristi, what will be the 3 advice which you want to tell to all the audience who are watching over here, right? Who are learning, because you are into mindset, you are into team, you have helped so many people. What will be the 3 advice which you want to tell to everybody in the world, whoever you meet, or to your younger self?
Number 1 is be very clear on your vision. Don't just say, I want to have financial freedom. I want a big house. I want to have cars. I want to have money. All of those are a means to an end, and all of those will help you help more people. However, that's not clarity. What do you want? What's your purpose in how you're going to get to that point, right? So I think clarity in your vision, like I just said, I want to help in the next 10 years 1 billion children by providing them with educational programs to help them then get employment, right? So like that's really clear. When I was writing my book, I was really clear on what I wanted that end goal to be, to write a book that would showcase stories that would help young people believe they could succeed. Clarity, right? I'm going to write a book, right? That's not clarity. So that's number one. Number two, when you decide on that, and these, I wish I could say that these are my own things, but I know that they work, but it's not mine. Like I got this from Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich and Wallace D. Wattles and The Science of Getting Rich, but they're tested and true, right? Number two is how bad do you want it? If you don't want it bad enough, if you're doing it because someone told you to, or you're doing it because you want money, but you don't like doing it, you're probably not going to accomplish what it is that you set out to do.
It's like having the hunger, right? Like we have to be hunger.
You have to be hungry. You have to be thirsty. You have to want it so bad that you, no matter what knocks you down, you're going to find a way to get back up and keep going forward, right? That's how bad you have to want it. And number three is, there's four of them. Number three, take action. You have to take action. No one, I love when people are like, oh, I want to win the lottery. And I'm like, oh, do you buy tickets? They're like, no. Well, how are you going to win the lottery if you don't even buy a ticket, right? So you need to take action, right? No one's going to come and knock on your door. And that action doesn't need to be a huge plan. My plan for writing my book, okay, I'm going to set out 30 minutes a day. I'm going to start with a table of contents. People get so overwhelmed because they think they need to do everything in one day. Make that small plan. And final, and one of my most important, perseverance. Don't give up. We are not faced with challenges because they're meant to stop us. We are faced with challenges as gifts to help us learn, right? Understand that. And the sooner you understand that and you have faith, gosh, there's five, because then there's faith. Because
yes.
Imagine if I told you that in 2 years from now, you were going to win the lottery. You were going to win $10 million, right? How would you be walking around today? You'd be walking around like, everything's great. The world is great. You're counting down to the day when you're going to get that money and all of the wonderful things you're going to do with it. You have that inner faith, right? That it's going to happen. Why don't we do that with our dreams? Why don't we walk around knowing that that's going to happen? That we are going to accomplish what we want, right?
We have to believe in ourselves.
We talk ourselves out of it. We tell ourselves, well, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe, when the slightest thing comes across our path. But if we were to walk around and say, you know what? All right, that happened. Okay, it's all right. I'm going to figure something else out. Because if you really want it bad enough, you will. And we need to come in with that faith and say, I am going to do this. I am going to achieve it. I don't know how, and I don't need to know how. Because a lot of times people get stuck with, how am I going to do it? Guess what? There's half of the people that you haven't even met yet that are going to help you along the way, right?
Absolutely.
So how can you know how? We
just have to have that clear vision. Like whatever you said makes so much of sense. Like having a clear vision, how bad you want. If I tell you my case as an example, I had a vision. I have written on my vision board, I have to interview Naveen Jain, and this was the affirmation which I practiced almost every single day, right? Like which Naveen Jain had said, like
I'm so excited.
I'm going to dream so big. People think I'm crazy. I will never be afraid to fail. I will have the mindset of abundance, never think of scarcity. this like affirmation lines, like I practiced every single day, and I knew in the fact like I'm going to get Naveen Jain no matter what. Right? And finally, after like so many months, we are going to get Naveen Jain for our summit as a speaker.
Is he speaking at your summit?
Yes, yes.
I thought you were just going to interview him. How exciting. And I am so excited because I had a part in that somehow, a little bit.
Yes,
maybe.
yes,
Right?
amazing.
So,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit. I'm
Yes,
so
yes.
excited for you. Yay.
Thank you so much. Right? And that's what it's all like, having a clear vision. I never gave up, right? I did like so many times I tried to reach, and I tried to always go out there and message and do
And the
whatever
one
the best I
thing,
can. Right?
yeah,
And the
one
one thing what I observed is people on the top are like very humble, and they're like very down to earth, and they're very kind. Like what other people think is like maybe billionaire. Like I still remember like some people when I posted in the groups, I want to interview Naveen Jain somewhere, like why will a billionaire give time to you? Like that they were telling me, right? And I still remember. Now finally I believed today, like whatever I manifested, it's like becoming into
right.
reality.
But look at what you did though. Like you took action. Number one,
Yes.
you had faith. Number two, and you persevered. Like he didn't respond, so you tried again, and he didn't respond, and you tried again, and you
Yeah.
did everything that I mentioned just now that are the key lessons to it, right? And so
Even I had made the rap on the song. I think you saw that.
yes, I actually sent it to him. I don't know if he saw it or not, but I did send it to him.
Amazing.
And so I'm happy about. I'm so happy about that, and so happy for you. But that's what it is. It's those moments when it actually comes to fruition that you're just like, oh my gosh, this does work, right? It
Yes.
is. It does happen. But the one thing that Naveen said is that most of these people want to help you, but they might read your message. They might be really busy at that point. Try again. If you keep trying, don't keep sending one every day and constantly nonstop. I mean, you have to be kind about it. And he said, if you truly want to learn something from them, make it about them and how you can learn from them and their experience, right? And so, and yeah, like, it's wonderful.
Absolutely. It was so wonderful. And Kristi, for all the people who are watching this right now, if they want to follow you on Facebook, Instagram, or like YouTube, can you tell us like your YouTube channel name or like podcast name, and what's your username on Instagram, so that if they
Yes.
want to
So at
connect
the
with
bottom
you
of
and
my
follow you?
screen over here, you can see there's my name. On Instagram, it's Kristi.Maggio, exactly that way. On Twitter, it's KMaggio13. On Facebook, it's same, my name, Kristi Maggio. And LinkedIn, same, my name, Kristi Maggio. And I try and keep it all as the same as much as I possibly can. My YouTube channel, I have two of them. One I haven't used in a while because since I haven't been in the Dominican Republic, I used to have a talk show called What's Up Punta Cana. And so you can go there. I have some great interviews there on there. And I also have my channel that I, post most things to now, which is Maggio Multicultural Foundation. And then there's my podcast. So go and listen to my podcast, because all of these people in this book and so many more, you can hear the full interview there. And there's so much great wisdom there. And so it's called The Secret to Success Isn't So Secret. However, if you go into any of my social media, there's a link tree and you can just click on anything there. There are all my YouTube and everything, and all my social medias are there.
That's so amazing. And thank you so much, Kristi, for sharing so many valuable nuggets, like what you have learned from other amazing personalities in the world, and how you are changing the world. It's like so inspiring, and I highly recommend all the people to buy the book, order the book, learn from the best, so that you can become the best.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. I so appreciate this. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.